So today we're going to talk about speeding and how much stress that speeding can actually cause in life. Now, does it cause stress to everybody? No, of course not. It's just food for thought more than anything else, just my opinion, because this channel is all related to my opinion. Well, anyways, so speeding, I look at it from this way. The roads, they set a speed limit. Anything over it, I don't care if it's 1 mile per hour or 1 kilometer per hour over the speed limit, technically you're breaking the law. Don't make excuses. Police get you for it. They give you a speeding ticket. You kind of deserve it. People speed for a slew of different reasons. The stress that occurs from speeding, on the other hand, is something that nobody places into consideration. So imagine you going 5 miles per hour over the speed limit, and you do it. What are you also doing? You're also looking around for police. And the reason why you're doing that is because you know you're breaking the law. And if you break the law, the one key thing is if you have a speeding ticket, then it kind of sucks. Problem is, a lot of people have speeding tickets, and the more they speed, if they already have a speeding ticket, then they know one thing is that there's a good chance that there's other repercussions. Maybe you get your license revoked or your car towed or whatever it is. So it adds this level of fear because you're speeding. That's stress, and it really doesn't make your life much better or so to speed, because in the end it increases stress. We also know another thing about speeding is the faster you go, the worse your reaction time is, which means the faster you do something, the better chances you're going to make a mistake doing it. So going 60 versus 65, well, if you're going 65 miles per hour and you hit something, it causes more damage. It's going to hurt more as well too. So that's also another fear, is it's not necessarily that the person who's speeding is a bad driver. It could also be the fact that there are other things along the way, other cars or whatever it is, that may not drive as well as the person who's speeding. So people are always like, well, I'm good at what I do, everyone else needs to. Well, the key thing is not, yes, everyone else needs to be good at driving, but the reality is that we set a bare minimum, and the truth is if everyone follows the rules the way they're supposed to, then there would be a whole lot less accidents. But the thing is, people are always in a rush, and technically if you're speeding, you're either doing it because you like the rush, the feel of it, and then technically just go to a race parkway or a racing course or whatever it is and do it there. The rest of the world just wants to get where they need to go, and if they're in a rush to do it, then ultimately that's the other side of the stress. Well, if you're in a rush, you're already stressed out. Oh, I'm late for this, I'm late for work, I woke up late, or I need to get all these errands done. So you're also stressed out about that as well too. So on top of being stressed out about all that, then you're going to increase your stress by speeding. So you kind of think of it from this way. If you drive 10 miles and you go 60 miles versus 65 miles per hour, so how much time do you really save? You save like a minute, maybe a minute and a half overall. It's not really a whole lot of time. You're weaving through traffic or whatever it is, and in the end, you really don't overall get there much faster, but you increase so much stress for realistically no reason. Is that a good thing? No, stress is never a good thing. And the thing about it is, now you increase that speed, you increase your risk of screwing up. Now, to save 1 minute, let's just think about it for a second here. Let's just say you speed 100 times. Okay, so you save 100 minutes. Reality of it is just, it's not that 100 minutes you save overall, but you get one speeding ticket. Well, you originally were gonna save only 1 minute, but when a police pulls you over, you lose 20 minutes worth of time. It wasn't worth it to speed then. In the end, on top of you losing all that time, you also gain a speeding ticket. And I don't know if it's $120 or $300 or so, but the reality of it is you lose money on top of the original 1 minute, and you waste another 19 minutes on top of it. The reality of it is not worth it to speed. So why do it? If you apply that to the rest of the world, it's kind of like rushing. When you rush to do something, uh, you always make more mistakes. If you were to take a deep breath, slow down for 1 second, and think through or slow down just a bit so you can think better, you can think through what you're doing, the reality is you make less mistakes overall. Less mistakes, less stress, less worry. And that's one key thing is like people who choose to rush anything, they end up making more mistakes overall. Similar to speeding is you can lose so much more time speeding because you're always worried about these things, and you run the risk of a police pulling you over, a car accident happening, and that's another thing is it could be the smallest fender bender, smallest bump or so. That doesn't mean the other person is going to let you go, and then you're stuck for another 10 minutes because you hit somebody or somebody hit you or whatever it is. And you might be the best driver out there, but that doesn't mean all the people around you are great drivers. Some people love to be on their cell phones. Some people are eating while they're doing this. If you're apparently driving some of these automated cars or so, you're probably taking a nap while the car is in autopilot or whatever it is. These things happen. Some people just lose track of attention. Some people lose focus. Some people are sleepy. So you just never know who's on the road. And distracted driving is something that is more common because we have cell phones. We have all these other technologies that are designed to take our attention away from a simple task as even driving. We even have laws out that says, hey, you can't, if you get caught texting while you're driving or whatever it is. But the reality is, once again, people break the law. People choose to do it, and they're always like, well, it's not me. I'm not going to be the one. Say that to the 17-year-old who is now crippled or is perfectly a quadriplegic or so, unable to use their arms and legs because they chose to text message and not pay attention to the road. Yeah, it's not everyone, but it sucks if it is you. And that's the key thing is, how do you decrease that risk? Well, courteous driving, yeah, that can help. Driving proactively, so paying attention to the road. It's kind of like I drive slow, so I'm always driving in the right lane. And ultimately, that's out of courtesy. I technically, most of the time, I have adaptive cruise control on my car, so I set it to the speed limit, or sometimes a little bit slower than the speed limit, and I let my car do the thing, and I stay on the right side. And if for some reason I need to adjust my speed based upon, me moving in and out of traffic or whatever it is, yeah, I'll adjust the speed or so and take it out of adaptive cruise control, do my thing, and then get back into my lane and turn on the adaptive cruise control again. And the reason why I do that is because I find that me not being in a rush makes my life better. It makes my life more enjoyable. Of course, I also have good planning as well too. So if I know I'm going to work in the morning, then I wake up early enough, have a routine down that works for me, and I have a good time where I get in my car and I drive to work, and it takes about 22 minutes roughly for me to get to work, and I do it at, less than the speed limit most of the time. So the key thing is, if for some reason I'm a little bit late than normal, if I typically drive less than the speed limit, I could set it to the speed limit or so and still be able to make it on time. Some people, I guess, don't have that luxury. But in the end, if you look at saving 1 minute's worth of time, was it worth it to run the risk of having a police officer pull you over and give you a speeding ticket, 20 minutes, getting into a car accident, which can take anywhere from 20 minutes to the whole entire day, or maybe you might end up in the hospital as well too. So speeding wise, the reality is it's not worth it overall. To save a minute or two here and there. I know sometimes when we're taking long trips, Yeah, but the problem is if you're taking long trips or so, you get tired easier as well too. And that also means your reaction time is slower. Your observation skills are not as great. And people want to get there on time. Well, here's the thing about it is if you are in a rush to get to a leisure activity, then that's not really a leisure activity anymore. If you're in a rush because you need to get from Oklahoma City to Dallas for work or whatever it is, that's understandable. But if you go 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, you might as just well go the speed limit because it's going to take just about the same amount of time. Because in the end, if you get pulled over by a police officer, yeah, you're going to waste 20 minutes, which the whole point of going an extra, 10 miles per hour over the speed limit was to save you 20 minutes of time. Well, get a speeding ticket and you're not saving yourself anything. On top of it, you spend the same amount of time, but you waste a whole lot more money because it's going to cost you about, what is it, about $250 or so to pay the speeding ticket. So in the end, you get there in the same time that if you were not speeding, but the difference is you pay $250 more. That's really smart if you think about it. Um, on the most part, I'm very fortunate where I don't have a lot of imbalances in my world, a lot of stress in my world. And the key thing is to figure out how to balance your life. Well, like I said, if you plan on doing something or so, well, if you have a plan, how hard is it to go on Google Maps or whatever it is to figure out how long it's going to take to get anywhere? Google Maps is really, really good nowadays of being able to figure out if you go from A to B, how long it'll take to get there. It's good planning. What's bad planning is making speeding worse. If you go over the speed limit and a cop pulls you over, don't make excuses. Just accept the fact that you're the one that got caught. You're the 1 in 100 that got caught. It goes a lot faster. Instead of spending 30 minutes, you'll spend 15 minutes. They'll give you your speeding ticket and call it good because reality is you broke the law. You deserve the speeding ticket. They already set the speed limit. They call it a speed limit for a reason. And once again, people will say, "Hey, I'm safe." It doesn't matter if you're safe or not. You're still breaking the law. Every time a police has pulled me over in the past, for me speeding or so, I made zero excuses. It says, "Yo, Mr. Police Officer, I sped, and I'm assuming you are taking me down for speeding." And I said, "Yes, I am." And I just accepted the ticket and moved on and apologized for speeding, and then I slowed down because in the end, the reality is it cost me more time in the long run, and that's what I've learned. So the moral of the story is speeding, it's not necessarily that people are speeding, it's the stress that occurs from rushing. When you're rushing, you're not thinking your best. You're more stressed out. People make mistakes when they're stressed and they're rushing, unless they're realistically used to all that stress, which takes a lot of practice. And the average person in the world, if they're still having to subconsciously watch out for the police or so while they're speeding, then they're really not that great at speeding then. And it's something that most people do. Well, if you're that person who has to watch for police, or you keep on keeping an eye out for the police officers or so while you're speeding, you're probably the one that shouldn't be speeding. That's just the general principle. Because in the end, like I said, it just takes more time in the long run. It's like, so why do it? That's all I got.